So in question number 3 of this second exercise, we'll have to write the coordinates of the vertices of each of the adjoining figures, the ones which we can see in the graph below. Now if we observe the graph, we see that there are 3 adjoining figures. So let us mark them 1, 2 and 3 for our reference, as we'll take each of these adjoining figures one by one. So let us take the first figure, and in this first figure we have the 4 vertices as A, B, C and O. Now if we observe the position of the vertex A, we see that it is located on the x-axis. Hence, the value of the y-axis for this point would be 0. And as we know that when we are writing the coordinates of any of the points, we'll write the value of the x-axis first. So the point 2 represents the position of A from the x-axis. And since it is exactly on the x-axis, the value of the point y would be 0. Moving on to the next vertex, that is vertex B. Now vertex B, as we see, represents the point 2 from the x-axis and the point 3 from the y-axis. Hence the coordinate of B would be 2, 3. For the next vertex, that is vertex C, as we see that it is exactly on the y-axis, so the value of the x-axis would be 0, and it represents the third point on the y-axis. If we see the point O, it represents the origin, and we know at this point the value of both the axes is 0. So these are the vertices of the first adjoining figure. Let us now see the second one, where the vertices are PQRS. So we'll see each of these vertices one by one. Now let us first see P. So the point P represents this point on the x-axis and this point on the y-axis. Hence, the coordinates of the vertex P would be 4, 3. Next, in case of Q, we see that Q represents this point on the x-axis and this on the y-axis. Hence, the coordinates of Q would be 6 and 1. For the vertex R of this adjoining figure, again 6 would represent the position of R from the x-axis and 5 would represent the position of R from the y-axis. Hence, the coordinate for this vertex R would be 6 and 5. For the last vertex of this adjoining figure, if we see, then the value of the x-axis would be 4 and the value of the y-axis would be 7. So these are the vertices of the second adjoining figure. Let us now move on to the third adjoining figure, which has 3 vertices, and they are KLM, which basically represents a triangle. So in case of the third one, if we see the points where K is located, so basically K is located at a point which is represented by this point on the x-axis and this point on the y-axis. Hence, the coordinate of K would be 10 and 5. Moving on to the next vertex of the triangle in the adjoining figure 3. So the vertex L represents this point on the x-axis and this point on the y-axis. So the value of coordinate would be 7 and 7 for the vertex L. For M, again, if we observe the position of M, we see that it is represented by this point on the x-axis and this point on the y-axis. Hence, the coordinate of M would be 10 and 8. Now, these are the ways through which we can identify the coordinates of each of the points in a coordinate axis, and this is how we are going to answer the third question of this exercise.
To learn more about how QMath can help you crack school and board exams, explore QMath Leap, a live online classroom program run by highly experienced and committed teachers.